All right. Welcome again to another edition of Begin Again University. I am your host, Dr. Ray Johnson, President and also Chancellor here for Begin Again University. We're glad that you're taking time to tune in with us, all of you that are here. We're gathered together tonight because we want to spend some time tonight talking simply from the subject matter, planning out your year, talking literally about planning from the future backward. That's a strange concept, but I want us to understand and to know that literally you can begin to establish your steps and plan your way so that you can always begin again. And we always say here at Begin Again University, you can begin again.
Yes, coach, we can begin again.
Sound like I'm in the right classroom for tonight. I'm thankful for you all tuning in tonight. Let me do a couple of housekeeping things real quickly, just to go over a few things about what Begin Again University really is all about and why we spend time gathering together. Let's make sure that just move your hand over your mouse a little bit so that we can see that, so that they can see inside of the room there. And maybe have to hit maybe F4 or F. There you go. You're up. There you go. There you go. Let's go over a few things real quickly, just for everybody in the room. What people ask me all the time, why Begin Again University? And I remind them that literally it's really about mentoring, modeling, and the most important one, which is mind molding, mind molding. And really the motivation to begin again is really what's important, because you can have all of the skills and strategies, but if you don't have a good mentor or someone who's a good model for you to follow, or someone who can challenge the way that you think, literally it can become difficult in terms of the process of starting how to begin again. But the big one is the motivation to begin again. Also, there are a couple of things that you receive. Let's go to go to that second slide for me real quick, sir. That second slide for me. And literally, it's that leadership and organizational development, relationship readiness is also a part of this as well. And then sometimes the repair and renewal. And so all three of those are appropriate. Specialized coaching and mentorship model through our proprietary three-quarter system. I'm going to meet with you at least 3 times throughout the year to spend some time walking with you. You might want to sit down because you were right in the camera and everybody on their mama can see you right now. But you all right. You all right. Monthly training with Dr. Ray Johnson, myself, weekly lunch and learns, and then also our private Facebook community group. That's the area where you kind of have iron sharpening iron, where you can spend some time working together and learning from each other. And also Leadership Weekend, which is what we're gathered together in now. We're talking about planning from the future backwards, planning from the future backwards. We still got time for registration on tomorrow. We've got plenty of room for everybody to be able to gather their way in. And I always say, you can begin again.
Yes, coach, we can begin again.
I'm thankful for each and every one of us tuning in on tonight. Let me just hasten right on through. Hopefully, you'll be able to see a little bit on tonight. If not, it's okay. They've got notes, and so we'll just work our way right on through. It'll be fine. All right, let's deep dive right on in onto some of this tonight. Hopefully, our audience online should be able to see all as well. So remembering when you spend time talking about about planning from the future backward, planning from the future backward. Literally, it's really about planning for the future backward. You begin with your own mind. You begin with your own thought process. You begin with your own mind. And so it begins with how each of us begin to see ourselves. And all of us can become tied and bound to our previous life experiences. So it really has to do with, how do I see myself in terms of what is the image of the future that I want to be able to see. And so critical to all of this is what's going on and taking place in your own mind. Sometimes we can get tied to the past, tied to our previous experiences, tied to the impacts of life that has happened to us. But I want to encourage us tonight to set yourself free, because you are not your history. Literally, you're your future in terms of where you're getting ready to head to. We're going to be right on that first screen, right on that first screen. Keep going. One more, one more, one more, one more. And again, Keep right on rolling. I'll tell you when to stop. Keep right on rolling. I'll tell you when to stop. Keep right on going. Keep right on going. Right there. So it really begins with how well you're able to see yourself in terms of your future. I don't necessarily know where you find yourself at today, but I do want you to think about who or how do you see yourself 10 years from now? How do you see yourself 5 years from now? And this literally is in just about every area of our lives. Let's go to that next screen. Which is to say, planning is an essential key and strategy to causing our destinies to become realities. It's often said if you plan to fail or you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you literally don't take time out in just about every area in your life and look at how you're going to come up with the strategies to find yourself at the next levels of your life, you're finding yourself in a moment where you really don't have a metric whereby which you can measure success in your life. And so a greater question I want to talk to us tonight about, let's go to that next screen. Greater question I want to talk to us tonight about is how do you see yourself and how do you see it? What do you see and how do you see it? When I say what do you see yourself in a new house? Do you see yourself in a new car? Do you see yourself with a functional relationship? Do you see yourself being able to be debt free? How many of you would say I see myself debt free one day? Yeah, I got one person. How many see yourself debt free one day? How about this one? I see myself with multiple streams one day. Yeah, multiple streams of income. I see myself healthy and sane one day. How about this one? I see myself without drama. Yeah. Yeah, I see myself without drama. If I could just get to a point in a place in my life where there's no more drama that is left, come on, hearts and thumbs up for those of you who are tuning in, who are watching. So I see you there. Lady, I see you there. I see you there. Mother, I see you tuning in. Being able to have a life that is completely free from drama, I think that is critically important. What about y'all? How about this one? I see my children functional, where they are now becoming independent and that they themselves have multiple streams, where they're able to be functional. How about this one? I see myself completely and totally healthy with no issues in my life, right? How about this? We can begin again.
Yes, coach. We can begin again.
Yeah, so having said that, tonight and this weekend is really about how to get to that image of what you see. Because here's what I really believe. I believe that if you can win each and every day towards your goals, you can win the week towards your goals. If you could put together just 2 weeks out of the month, then at least you won 50% of that month is already done. But here's the big one. If you can win the day, days turn to weeks, weeks turn to months, months turn to years. And here's what I'm looking at. Years turn to decades. And I don't know about you all, but I spend time planning my life by the decade. And just about everything that I set out from the time I was 20, and now here I am in my 50s, I've just about accomplished everything. Just about accomplished everything. And I believe that you can do the exact same. So here's the thing. Let's go to that next screen. Here's the thing that really, really can begin to trip all of us up in some areas. We must know the difference between wants and needs. We got to be clear about what the difference is between wants and needs. Now, around here in the Walk of Dominion, we're just coming off fasting. And I haven't had a chance yet to deep dive into my favorite dish, but I'm probably gonna get to it real quick, real soon. And which is to say, come on, you gotta tell nobody. Which is to say, I'm one of those person that feel like I need fried chicken. Come on, anybody else with me on that? I need chocolate cake. Anybody else with me on that right there? I can't be the only one that's engaged in that. But you got to know what the difference is. Now, the reality is that's a want and a desire that I have. But you've got to be able to separate out the difference between what your wants are and what your needs are. And you're going to have part of this as part of your homework assignment tonight. Just kind of call out some things that you think that you can already recognize that's a want versus a need in your life. Yeah, I need all my bills to be paid. Yeah. I need to have more money at the end of the month than I have bills. Right? Yeah. Anybody got anything else? Come on, talk to me. Difference between wants and needs. Go ahead, Cheryl.
I need my bills.
Need my bills? Go ahead.
But I want my tuition.
Another sneakerhead, just like me. Yeah, I need my bills covered, but I want tennis shoes. So sometimes when them new Jordans got to come out, remember we used to stand in line for the new Jordans and all that? Yeah, Baby girl too young to remember all that. She's too young to remember all that. She's too young to remember all that. But we used to stand in line at the different stores for the Jordans when they came out, simply because for us it was a desire, it was a want. But if you're going to, excuse me, if you're going to finish this year well, you've got to know what the difference is between your wants and your needs. Go to that next screen for me. Take a look at this right here. I really believe this, that many instances we are the sum total of our own decisions. And really, in many instances, we are the sum totals of our own decisions. Here's what it says. I'll make it large for those of you who are watching at home. It says, your life is a result of your choices you make. If you don't like your life, it's time to start making better choices. How many of y'all would agree with that? Make better choices just about in every area. Make better choices in terms of where you shop. Better choices in terms of the food you eat. Better choices in terms of the relationships that you have. Better choices in terms of how you parent. Better choices in terms of how you work with and deal with your children. Better choices in terms of who's in your circle, who's not in your circle. Better choices in terms of who you date, who you don't date. You ought to have some standards whereby which you begin to make better choices in your life, because all of that, remember, if you win the day, it's all about just one day at a time. If you win the day, you can win the week. If you win the week, you can win the month. If you win the month, you can win the year. If you win the year, you can win decades. Okay? I want you to remember that. Write that down. Write that down. That's the first thing I want you to put in your notes area. Win the day. If I win the day, I'll win the week. If I win the week, I'll win the month. If I win the month, I will win the year. If I win the year, I'll win decades. I want you to think, we've come to the end of January. February and March is right around the corner. We've got some decisions we've got to make in just about every area of our lives. And how you see the difference between wants and needs is going to determine how well you're going to win. How well you see the difference between wants and needs is going to determine how well you're going to win. And let me just encourage somebody with this. Let's say you end up making the wrong decision on something that's inside of your strategies of your goals. Here's what I want you to know. You can begin again.
Yes, coach. We can begin again.
I want you, if you end up finding yourself, if you've made some wrong decisions, go ahead to that next screen for me. Some decisions in areas, if you rate some decisions in areas that lead you down the wrong path mentally or emotionally or physically or spiritually or sexually or financially, I want you to understand you can come up out of that situation, start over again, and pick up right from where you left off. How many of y'all found that to be true? That you don't have to sit and just kind of wallow in the experience that you've had. Literally, you can start over in various areas of your life. And I want you to understand that. So many people don't agree with me on this one. Go to that next screen for me. A lot of people don't necessarily agree with this one, but this is one of the models I live by. Image is everything. Image is everything. The more when people see an image of you, or like this one, you've got one time to make a first impression. And so when you're thinking about going into business or industry or relationships, now I know most of us who are Christians that love the Lord, and we have all of the biblical analogies of how we are to examine somebody before we enter into a relationship with them. But I want to be real clear with you. If the person is not attractive to you physically, you need to keep them. I just want to be honest. Because you got to go home with them. You got to lay next to them. You got to be hugged up with them. This ain't Sunday, this Friday night. Okay. So if you got to be honest with yourself of what's appeasing and what's attractive to you. Okay. And so don't try to be all super spiritual, spooky deep. If the person's not attractive to you physically, you cut it off. Just get up out of there. If they are not attractive to you mentally and emotionally, cut it off. I often say 4 seasons in a year when I'm talking to singles, 4 seasons in a year, summer, winter, spring, fall. Watch people through each season, because mood swings come on all of us at different times of the year. And so you have to watch somebody through each and every one of those mood swings. You have to look at how well people handle money. How well do you handle money? And so image is everything. And so here are a couple of questions I want you to think about that are also in your notes. What image do you see of yourself? How do you see you? If you don't see you as a winner, nobody else will. If you don't see you as a winner, nobody else will. How do you see you? Where do you see yourself going? How do you see that? How do you see that you're going to get there? Where do you see yourself going? What image do you see of yourself? What do you see yourself doing? I started out as I moved into ministry. I understood very early on that my late 20s, my 30s, and my 40s was going to be the building time. I clearly understood one of the reasons why I pursued doctoral education early was because I said, I'm not going to be an 85-year-old pastor talking about, come on, praise the Lord. I ain't even going to be in my too far in my 60s talking about that. So I prepared early for transition to be able to teach in terms of doing what I do right now. What how are you doing now to prepare 10 years from now? Because 10 years is coming, whether you're prepared or ready for it or not. But you've got to see yourself. I used to see myself lecturing in classrooms early on. When I was in my 20s and I finally settled with my call, I used to see myself preaching. I used to see myself married. Everything I did with my children in terms of recreation and helping them have an experience of life, I used to see myself on roller coasters with my kids. I used to see myself doing everything that I did because I was intent on planning my own future and I lived my life 10 years at a time. So I want you to start thinking about this year. What do I see myself accomplishing this year? How much weight do I want to lose? How better do I want to eat this year? What kind of food do I want to eat? What do I want to do with my children this year? What do I want to do with my financial? How much debt am I going to come out of this year? Is this making sense to anybody? I want you to start thinking like that now, because here are a couple of things that are important in regard to the difference between needs and wants. Inside of your notes, you have a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay. And what you'll see in this is you'll see where it says self-actualization. Start at the very, very bottom where it says physiological needs. That's breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep, safety and security, health, employment, property, family, and social ability or stability. Look at that one where it says love and belonging, friendships, family, intimacy, a sense of connection. The higher you go up on the pyramid, you'll notice that your needs change and are different. There's no sense in you thinking about having millions of dollars if you can't even handle your physiological or your safety and security needs. There's no sense in you trying to be engaged with someone else if you haven't even learned how to have love and belonging with yourself and self-esteem with yourself first. Look at that very top of the pyramid, which is where everybody wants to be able to get to. Look at what it says, self-actualization. This is your areas of morality, your creativity. Look at that. I think that says, yeah, you're talking about your spontaneity, your acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, and inner potential. This is where really each and every person wants to live, but it's a difficult time in trying to get there because of all the other needs. And what I want you to think about is we got 4 quarters in this year, right? Break this pyramid up into threes or twos within each quarter. And let's see if you can't get each of those, hit each of those areas covered as you are walking through the year. So my physiological needs, some of you are already there. My safety and security needs, some of you are already there. But when it comes to love and belonging, I want you to write some goals in that area. Okay? Go ahead. Say a little louder so they can hear you on the stream. As you change. Because for safety and security, you're saving a lot. Your safety and security, you're married. Depending who it is that you're married and pending what's going on with your children. Yes to the premise. Because with two people working together, they create a sense of security for themselves and their children. And when two people have self-love within themselves and are loving each other sacrificially, then those needs and those that dopamine is met in their mind, and all of the emotional part of that stuff is able to be taken care of. So pending where you are in terms of who you're connected with makes all the difference in the world. Good evening, sir. God bless you. So understanding that As you go through the hierarchy of needs, yes, there are changes as you go. But like you said, like I said, it depends on who you're connected with, because the person you're connected with could create a lot of drama for you where a lot of those needs are not met. And so as you begin to look at this Maslow's hierarchy, I want you to think of it from the standpoint of what's already done, what's already taken care of, what do I want to get done, what do I want to get taken care of as you start to go. Look at this right here. I put this one, go to that next screen for me. I'll make it large for those of you that you're watching. This one is also inside of your notes. I'm not going to take time to read everything that's inside of them, but these are some of the goal-oriented areas that each of us are looking toward being able to have some sense of satisfaction in: career, education, family, finances. Look at that: self deconstruction, self development. All of those, as you take time to read through those in your notes, and for those of you that are looking at this online, I want you to think about by the quarter goals in each of these areas. Remember, I said image is everything. How do I see myself? Where do I see myself going? And how do I see myself getting there? I want you to think about that as you start to look at winning, because keep in mind, we're talking about planning your future backwards. And here's what I mean by that: that we understand how what the scripture says. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, to give you hope and of a future. What image do you have in your mind when you hear that? And whatever that image is, I want you to start working from that image backward. As an athlete, I used to see myself, winning championships. I would see the confetti. I would see all the stuff in my room. And so I practiced with the idea of winning championships. I practiced with the idea of that so that it became a reality. I did workouts with the idea. I gave up summers and worked on my skills with the idea of getting to that image. I got a question for you. Just write it down. Somebody put it in the chat. What are you willing to give up to get to the image that you see in your mind of yourself in your future? What are you willing to give up to see the image that you have set in your mind to secure your future? I love the commentary a lot about if you've ever seen, I forget what the name of his documentary is called. If you've ever seen Kobe Bryant's documentary about love, his love for basketball, he always talked about how he would get to the gym 2 years early. Matter of fact, from this area, Allen Iverson, we call him Bubba Chuck around here, tells the story about how Kobe Bryant was such a focused in athlete. So when they were into the league for the first couple of years, um, Iverson with Philadelphia travels to LA to the Lakers. First time Iverson's coming to town, Kobe decides he's going to take him out to eat. Iverson goes out to eat with him. He said after it was over, Iverson begins to ask Kobe, "Hey man, what we getting into?" Kobe was like, I know what I'm getting ready to do, but what are you getting ready to do?" He says, "Well, I'm getting ready to go check out the club scene here in LA." Kobe says, "I'm going to the gym." You see the difference? 5 championships later, we ain't taking nothing away from Chuck. He's one of the best to ever do it. He's one of the top 75 to ever play. And when Philly played LA in the finals, Iverson by himself got them at least one game. And I think they won that series 4-2. And so, but he won, was it 4-1? Yeah. So, Chuck, 5 championships, no championships. Club, gym. What are you willing to give up in order for you to see your goals actualized in your life? And planning from your future backwards. Plan out every single month. In December, I want to be doing this because I'll accomplish this by June. In September, I want this to be happening because I took care of this in March. Plan from the future backwards in terms of the image of things. Go ahead to that next screen for me, because here's another one. I'll put it a little bit larger on the screen for those of you who are watching at home. I want you to look at this in terms of understanding where you are on the list determines how you see yourself. Where you are on this list. It's also in your notes on the second pyramid. Where you are in terms of your physiological needs, your safety, your esteem, and then watch what happens. Look at what that arrow is where it says deficiencies. So you really can't get to the dream of your future if you're still worrying about physiological safety, esteem, and some of your cognitive needs, where you are in your own head because you're still trying to be able to take care of yourself. But the moment you start to have those things taken care of, look at what happens. Look at what the growth is in your life. Now you can start working on your cognitive. Look at what it says: your aesthetics, your self-actualization, your transcendence, how you want to see yourself. So being able to plan ahead of time to ensure that the bottom half of the pyramid is taken care of, so that you can focus on that middle to the top half of the pyramid, is going to be critically important in terms of the image that you see in your own head. What kind of career do you see yourself having? What kind of relationship do you see yourself having? Think about it in your mind's eye and say, okay, what am I willing to give up to get there, or to get them, or to get that? Is that making sense? Because at the end of the day, I always say this: no matter what happens, you can begin again.
Yes, coach. We can begin again.
I want you to have that inside of your mind. I want you to have it inside of your heart. I want you to have it inside of your spirit, because there are going to be moments where you're going to make some decisions where you're going to miss it. But I want you to realize, like I said earlier, you can get up and then you can wash yourself off, and then you can start over all over again. Go to that next screen for me. So I make this statement: how you see yourself makes all the difference in determining your wants versus your needs. How you see yourself makes all the difference in determining your wants versus your needs. I love how Cheryl said tonight, I want my bills paid, but I need my bills paid, but I want some sneakers. Me, I want to lose some more weight, but that chocolate cake I got downstairs is waiting on me and calling my name right now. And I'm doing everything I can to resist it. Come on, I can't be the only person by myself, right? I'm by myself on that one. Yeah. So I want you to start thinking about how to crystallize some of that in your mind. Go ahead. Oh, just walk around so you can see it, Eric, or Fatia help him out so he hits the right button. Yeah, yeah. She'll help you. She'll help you. She'll help you with that one. Good catch. Good catch. Good catch. Good catch. Good catch. So here are some determining factors in terms of vetting your standards of how you're going to make your decisions. Go ahead to the next screen for me. We should be good now. Go ahead to the next screen for me. Let's see. I want you to be able to see this one. See this one there. So, by whose or what standard are you determining and measuring yourself and your goals? Not moving yet? Help him one more time. Help him one more time. Help him one more time. Nah, don't. You don't want you to reschedule a restart. No, hit no, so you can come back. Hit no, so that way you can come back. You might as well go ahead and sit on over there. Yeah, hang in there with those of you that are online. We try to make sure that the room is able to catch everything at the same time too. Room can catch everything at the same time too. Here, I'll call these out for you. What level of exposure and experience? What level of exposure and experience do you or does someone else have in regards to how you're going to make the decisions? So, by who or what standard are you determining and measuring yourself and your goals? What level of exposure and experience do they have? What have you seen work for them in terms of why you should listen to them? Is this something you should be applying to you? I'm going to say all those again one more time. One more time. Yeah, I want to be on that slide right there. By whose or what standard are you determining and measuring yourself and your goals? By who or what standard are you determining and measuring yourself and your goals? Number two, what level of exposure and experience do they or it have whereby which you should be following or listening or modeling? What have you seen work for them? Because Broke people can't tell you how to make no money. They can't tell you how to save no money, right? Um, uh, People who are still wrestling with various areas of addictions in their life. I hate to use this one, but I got to use it anyway. People that are still wrestling with controlled and uncontrolled substances can't tell you how to have a clear thought process, right? You're not going to watch people who are not fit talk to you about how to get in shape, right? People who are still involved in illicit lifestyles behavior can't tell you how to live a sanctified life, can they? Because you're not so here's essentially what I'm saying to us in terms of planning from your future backwards. One of the things that we're endeavoring to do is to make sure we provide modeling and mentorship and mind molding. So when I talk to you about mind molding, I want you to ask questions before you engage with anybody on anything. I want you to ask questions. Sometimes the why question is a good one. The why question is a good one. Um, like I'll give an example just from the Sunday experience that we've had. As we've talked about discussing Nehemiah. Remember Sanballat, Tobiah are trying to get him to meet them in the plains of Ono. And they come up with all this innuendo stuff that they have. But Nehemiah asked the question to them, why should I come down and go to you? Why should I come down and go to you? What makes you such a person that I should listen to? Good evening, good evening. What makes you a person that I should listen to, that I should stop what I'm doing to check out what you're doing, right? I don't think that, sometimes I think we get too engaged with others without asking good questions. I think we engage without asking good questions. And I think asking good questions makes all the difference in the world for each and every one of us. Go back to the left a little bit where it was. Go back to the left a little bit so that we're not able to see that ring light in there, or to your right. Yeah, right. Almost. Yeah, stay. Yeah, that's working right there. We're going to work with that. Beautiful. All right, let's go to that. Let's go to that next screen for me. Go to that next screen for me. Check this out right here. While the reason why I gave you the charts, the two, I gave you the two Maslow's hierarchy of needs charts that are inside of your notes, and I gave you the list, the color coded list that's inside of your notes. Everything from careers to family to education to all of that, right? I gave you all of those because I want you to take a look at this for homework for tonight. I want you to determine where you are on the charts. I want you to determine where you are. Then I want you to reflect upon what decision you would have made or done differently. So I want you to think about this. I want you to determine where it is that you are. Then I want you to reflect upon what decisions you would have made or done differently if you had the chance. Then here's the third thing. Once you do those two things, I want you to write your I see myself statement. I want you to write your I see myself statement. So again, I'll use myself as an example. I saw myself pastoring and being a professor, and I got one more that I'm working on. I made sure that I invested in the education that would get me to those points. What I would have done differently for me is I would have finished the education sooner rather than later. So I want you to think about where I see myself, or how do I see myself, or what decisions would I make differently if I were to find myself in the position where I could live out this goal or this dream or this idea in my life. Okay? What would I do differently? That's what's going to be for a part of your homework tonight. Is that making sense? Uh-huh. I want you to use all three, both Maslow's and that long vertical one. Okay? So yes, that one. Yes, that one. Yes, that one. And I want you to think about it. Those of you who are watching online, I want you to do the same thing. Let me back up. You stay on that screen, but let me back up. For those of you who are watching online, I want you to find out where you are in terms of this chart, in terms of that chart, and in terms of this right here. I want you to take a good look at where you see yourself. What would you do differently in family, finances, education, career, relationships, self-development? How would you manage the areas of self-destruction in your life differently? Then I want you to think about, where is it that I want to go this year? When you think about where you want to go this year, I want you to think about, what would I do differently in terms of your homework. And then tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to take what you work on tonight for homework, and I'm going to talk to you about how to develop the plan for that to happen by the month. Really, I'm going to talk to you by the week and by the day, so that that turns into the month, and then that month turns into the quarter, and the quarter turns into the year. Make good sense? I'll finish with this story tonight. Anybody have any questions on the homework? Everybody good? All right. I'll finish with this on tonight. One of the things that I would have done differently for me in terms of the educational process is, I would have probably gone straight to the University of Maine instead of the stint and time that I had at Virginia Union. Now, I love HBCUs. I teach at an HBCU. I loved my experience at my HBCU. But I loved my experience at my HBCU a little too much. And there was a lot that I got into between 18 and 20, that if I had focused in more, that I would have finished that bachelor's degree a whole lot sooner than when I finished it. Now, Maine afforded me with great opportunities. I ended up with excellent internship opportunities, but even there, I had not yet grown up enough to mature to handle the environment, and still found myself in jeopardy. So if I'm writing, I see myself with a bachelor's degree at 21, 22 versus 23, 24. I was almost turning 24 before I finished. I would have handled myself differently, here it is, in high school, and not have almost failed the 10th grade. In the 10th grade, I had 4 D's and 2 F's coming into my junior year. I would have focused more and not played around so much, and spent so much time trying to be Mr. Jock, thinking that I was going to be. I mean, I ain't but I'm barely 5'10" with my shoes on. I don't know why I thought I was 6 feet. Okay. So I needed some extra help in order to do all of what I did. I want you to think that way in terms of your I see myself statements. Here's what I would change. Here's how I would change it. Here's what I would do differently. Because this is where my end goal is, and where I want to be, and how I want to get there. Make sense? No matter what you do, no matter where you go, always remember, you can begin again.
Yes, coach. We can begin again.
I want to thank those of you who are online and those who are in the room for tuning in tonight. We'll be right back again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. working through the work plans. For those of you who are watching online, you can put your commentary in the chat. I'll do my best to respond. But take care. God bless. Always remember, you can begin again.